baby dragon. Noblewreck here, updating on the last video. The Blueberry Fairy is 3D printed, painted by me. It's about 3 inches tall. Thinking of putting it on eBay? If I do, link will be in the description. Speaking of links in the description, check out my comic about the lovely grounded fairies at Webtoons. Also check out the novel by Chocolatey Locket at WATTPAD. Today, let's make a baby dragon. These are the ingredients, if you will. This is just an old tool from, it came from an inexpensive pack of polymer clay, but I will advise if you want a good result, you want a good clay too. And I'm using here this name brand. And of course, I'm not getting any kickback. It's just something I have discovered recently, but it is soft already, and I like that. Less conditioning time. And what we have here is the body of the baby dragon. This square is 1 inch. This is bigger than 1 inch. It goes outside the inch. This one is the head. As you can see, the sizes go down this way. This next size, which is less than 1 inch, and it's also smaller than the head, is going to be the legs. And this one, another size down. If you were to cut 1 inch into quarters, it's a little bit more than a quarter in, it'll cover a little bit more than a quarter of a square. The last one is for the wings. The last one is for the wings. And that one is smaller than that one. Make sure it's just a little smaller than that one. Alright, and we got 2 other colors. This one is the, let's see here. This one will be for the wings. This one will be for the spikes on his back. The baby dragon's back. This white here, which is about the size, a little less than that one. Again, it will probably cover exactly a quarter of a square, or fit inside a quarter of a square when looked upon from above, as this camera is doing now. So this is going to be the belly. This little one right here, which is about a quarter of an inch in diameter. As you can see, it fits in that little square. But it's a little bit. You really don't need much of that at all. Just gonna need a hint of pink. These 2 are going to be the eyes. Those 2, the same size as best you can eye them. We're going to need toothpicks, the point of a toothpick, 3 points of a toothpick, and you can use the scissors, but one end might pop off and fly in your eye. That would not be good. Either end would not be good. So what I do is just found the inch mark. Take your thumb now and just pull up on the long end and take it away. That's what we want right there. The plastic knife that came with a kit of polymer clay that I had purchased back in the day. Pin, simply because it's round. Otherwise I just go with the pencil alone, because the pencil you wouldn't use has a roundish end, and pen does not. Okay, let's start with the body. Now what I'm doing now is I'm rolling it, and after getting into the shape with some pressure, and I'm tapering off the tail. Now what I'm going to do is something similar with the neck, putting a little pressure here as I roll it, and then as I get the shape I like, I smooth it off by gently rolling it. That is, I'm not putting much pressure on it at all. So here we have a neck, rounded body, and a tapered down tail. Now, let's see, I'm thinking this sticks out a bit more than back here, so that could be the chest. So I'm gonna fold it up. Now what I'm doing is rocking it to get that little flat area. Don't put too much pressure on it, we don't have to deform the shape. But I would like him sitting up where his neck is vertical to the sky. His neck is straight up and down, like so. It's kind of like Dino in the Flintstones, if you remember that cartoon character. Now, to help it sit upright even more, let's make the legs. That's the size a little smaller than the head. First, I like to roll them into a log as symmetrical as possible. This allows me to eye it better when I cut it in half. That side looks a little bigger than the other. That's the main purpose of what I'm doing now, is just get into a symmetrical shape, both sides. In other words, both sides are exactly the same size. And we'll cut that in half. And again, I'm eyeing it. And I like to roll it and gradually put pressure on it because it doesn't distort it as badly. Now that, of course, can be the bottom of the leg. But actually, we need to make a foot as well. Now, to make the foot, I'm going to, let's say about a quarter of the whole mass here, quarter of the volume. Cut that off. So these will be the feet, and now we got a really flat surface, and we don't want it that flat, not too flat. Let's go ahead and fold that into a bean shape, softening this flat side a little bit. Don't want it sharp cut off. Now, any kind of knife will usually have, whether it be a metal knife or a plastic knife, will usually have a blunt backside to it. Flat backside of the knife gives you a blunter. I'm just rolling it just to get some creases in the knee area. So you got a bean with creases in the knee area on the inside. Now let's take the other part and let that be the feet. I'm just softening it up a little bit. Keep it roundish, but kind of flat. Kind of like, I don't know, a seed or something. And I want one end to be very bigger than the other. Let's taper down to a sharp point here. And it's bigger here. So, just stick that on the bottom there and you got a foot. A leg and a foot. But I'm not done with that before I put it on the body. Taking the tool, and again I want to do the blunt side because I think that looks better. I'm aiming for, I'm dividing into 3 toes. So I'm going to do one crease here, and another crease here, and I'm rocking as I do this. Giving you 3 toes of almost the same size. I think the big one's middle one is bigger than the others, and I think that's good. It looks good. Now, when you put it on the body, put it where it will keep that body sitting straight up. We're going to have the feet down. We're going to stick it on the body. I'm just barely pressing it right now so I can see where it's going to be. I'm going to tuck it under with my thumb just to help support that body in the upright position. Now, I'm going to squeeze it a little bit just to make sure it's got a good contact. I do not want to press it too much more. Be careful not to press it too much so that you will have a nice round thigh, a nice round leg. You don't want it flat. Now we want to try to do the same thing to the other side, the other leg. Alright, so now we've made the body. At this stage I think it may be okay to go ahead and do an accent. That'll be the belly. I'm making this, I'm using tools around the house. I've got some fancier tools as you've seen in other videos. But I'm trying to make this project here something that you can do, that any average Joe or Jane can do at home, whomever. Alright, this pin is going to be my rolling pin. I'm going to roll that thing out. I'm going to make it pretty thin. I'm saying it's probably 1/16 of an inch thick, maybe a little less. Maybe a little less than that. So get that 1/16 of an inch thickness going on there. I'm going to eye it. We want it to be on the front here. So let me go ahead and take off some clay. Notice here I didn't make a complete point. Left a little of that roundness there. I'm going to take that side off. There's a little bit of angle. Notice it's not straight up and down. It's tilted. And try to match that on the other side because I think it's important to be symmetrical. A little offness of that symmetry is not bad, but a lot would be bad because it's more noticeable. I like the roundness of this. If you don't have that roundness, go ahead and continue whittling away like so, because if you're making a hexagon and then you add more sides to that hexagon, you'll eventually get something that looks like a circle or a roundness. And I think these sides are a little too sharp, so I'm going to trim those off. And now we have something kind of like a teardrop shape, but a little rougher and softer around the edges. I'm going to rub this underneath. Try not to push too hard this way, but rather I rolled the tongue away, but rather saw it off so that you won't distort the shape. And I think I got some debris on that side. It looks worse on that side, so we're going to keep this side. Now, this is the front of the baby dragon. Let's put the belly on there. And you want it kind of thin so it doesn't stick out too much, I think. It would look better that way. And I'm just molding it around the body, the belly area. Here comes the knife again. I think for the very center of it all, it'd be nice to just go ahead and do one reference belly scale, if you will. If you've ever seen a snake's belly, they have scales that are along like that. And with that as a reference, we'll slowly go down in size as we go up. And we'll just put one more on the bottom. So it's biggest right here in the center, and everything that goes away from it will be a little smaller. That's the belly. Okay, now we've done the legs. The next biggest one is the arms. Let's move him out of the way, put the arms in the center. Again, like before, I'm making a cylinder that is symmetrical as much as I can possibly eye it to be. Again, this is going to have a handmade fill to it, so it won't be perfectly symmetrical, and that will probably be a little pleasant to the eye as well. But you want to be kind of close to symmetrical. So practice being symmetrical. That is having one side eyeing it, where one side is just like the other side. And again, I'm rolling it. Whoops, try not to move off center while you're rolling it. And I find rolling it helps to keep it from being deformed so badly. So I'm now tapering the shoulders down, and these are going to be the arms, if you will. Now I'm shaping them into teardrops. And have the taper go down real gradual, from big to small. Like little clubs, if you will. Big on one end, a baseball bat. Big on one end and small on the other. Try to make them the same size, same length. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the accents, that is the marking it with a tool, after I put it on the baby dragon. I'm curling around my finger a little bit just to because I know the body is curled. And I'm going to put this up, shoulder up high. Put the shoulder up there so that it's tapering down. The arm is positioned downwardly, but meets or touches the front of the belly, or chest area of the belly. Let's do the same thing with this one. I'm going to give it a little bit of curvature. Put the shoulder in the same place. On the side, not really in the back or the front, but on the side. And I'm gently, Polymer Clay sticks to itself really well. So I'm gently pressing it. Make sure it's making good contact, but not so much that you're going to distort the shape. Shoulders can taper almost down to nothing. If you like to, and it's a little tricky, you can smooth that onto the, but I will not do that here. I think I like it just like it is. And the more you handle it, the more you're going to distort it. So try not to handle it more than you have to. As clay gives into your touch, especially with the pressure. Now I'm just using that and try not to touch the belly, or the chest in this case. And I'm eyeing it, and I'm using the sharp end this time, not the blunt end, to make the fingers. Baby dragon fingers. And of course you could do this, it'd probably be cuter if I did it shorter than long. You know, not too long, but short. But there you go. Baby dragon fingers. It's coming right along, I think, don't you think? Now, what is next? Oops, let's keep that neck straight up and down. There are accents I like to do to this body, and I think right now would be a good time when there's nothing else on there. Is to prep for, and I'm taking the long toothpick piece of a toothpick. And we're gonna prep for the wings. And I want the wings to be kind of downward inside the body, but if you look at it from the back, also splayed out from the body, but not too much, just enough so it can be seen from when you're looking at the front of the body. You'll want to see the wings a little bit from the front. I'm putting the wings just behind the shoulder, lined up with the shoulder, and not too close together to one another. If you imagine a line in the middle of the body, you want them to be the same distance away from each other, away from that line. The line will center everything. Now I'm just rolling it around to make plenty of room, but don't make it too big because the wings are not going to be that wide. You want this hole to be covered up. But I want to get in there pretty deep, not to go out the other side. Be careful of that. Do not go out the other side. Go in pretty deep with it. Let's do the wings at this stage, since we've got a place made for them. And this was the longest one. I want to use the short ones for the wings. And again, we only need 3 of those. And they can all be the same size. I made one a little shorter, longer than the other 2. This one will be for the neck, to hold the head on. Now, to make the wings, grab that size ball, the smallest left over from the light blue color. And again, I'm just prepping it to cut it in half. There we go. What we're going to do here is we're going to change the shape about like we did with the belly. I want these two to be the same as much as possible. So I'm going to use the same volume. Again, we're using the pin as a roly-poly rolling pin, if you will, and get it pretty flat. Pretty flat. I would say it's less than 1/16 of an inch for sure, but not too flat. You want to be able to work with it. In other words, you don't want it pasted to your mat here, this gray and white mat. Once I got it off here, I'm going to, I didn't mean to fold that in, but that doesn't matter. Excuse me. I'm going to put a toothpick in there. I'm not going to put it in the center. I want to put it on the edge. That's the long one, isn't it? And let's do about half the toothpick. A little bit more than half the toothpick, because we're going to cut this right here. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to cut all that off. But I want to start it on the edge, and maybe use this tool to help. Make sure that the toothpick is making good contact with the clay. And I'm going to roll it into a tube. And the reason why I roll it out like that and then wrap it around the, don't make it too long. Roll it around the toothpick is because it becomes even all the way around. The toothpick is right in the center of the whole mix, if you do it that way. I'm using my fingernail to take away that half, probably right about at the half mark of the toothpick, right where it starts tapering down to a point. And so you can see where the joint is, or where the toothpick ends, right here. And let's go up at that place. Oh, don't press it too hard, we want it to be subtle. A nice soft turn, and then pull that one back down. And that's going to be the wing, kind of like a hook. But the tip of the wing and the let's say the arm of the wing will be pretty much lined up with one another on the same line. Now let's just keep them the same. Let's go ahead and do them, not to complete this one, but rather go into the next one in order to keep them both looking the same. Now let's do the smallest of the light blue clay. This is the lavender, or I might say lilac. Lavender is more blue, and lilac's more leaning toward the red side, and I think this qualifies as lavender in that, with that definition or whatever. Alright, so we got a little circle here, and it's about the same size as what fits in those notches. Kind of eye it there. I had used my tool to do this. It's very blunt. You may want to use your nail, your smallest fingernail. And don't cut too much, too deeply rather. Just cut enough to make that shape. And fingernails vary in size. I fit, but it should be about the same. I'm gonna put that inside there. And if you have to, open it up a little bit and roll it into there. Close it back up. There, you got a wing. And let's go ahead and attach it to the body, but gently so. Remember, a little bit of pressure can distort these, so just put enough pressure to do the job. And if you put it in deep, if you had put the toothpick in deeper previously, it should work. It should hide the toothpick in there. Put the other one on the other side, and like I was saying before, I had made the hole. I have to press that one in a little bit harder. There we go. A little bit harder for that one. I made it so that they will be splayed out a little bit. In fact, I might even curve them here a bit, so that you can see it from the front, just like that from the back. And they're in a diagonal, kind of in the same line as the arms are. Body! The body is almost done. Something else I want to add to the body. Let's add, look at these. Let us use about half of this. Use the other half for the head. Now, I might have should have done this now that I think about it. Get it up there. Wings a little. There we go. Need to hide the wood. Hide the toothpick. I probably should put these spines on before doing the wings, but we're going to I'm gonna do maybe 3. Let's do 2. Divide it into 3 rather. We'll put the biggest one on the tail for the spike, because it's often on a dragon's tail. Flattening it out a little bit. I think just to make it easier, I'm not gonna be too tricky here. I could cut it in this kind of a shape, like so, making an arrowhead. Let's do that. That's traditionally what I've seen on a baby dragon's tail. It's sort of an arrowhead shape. And let's splay those out, because what's going to happen is it's going to attach to the tail, and you want those spikes to be out if it's going to keep that arrowhead shape. And I'm trying to marry it to the tail enough to get a good contact. And not stick to my finger, but stick to the tail itself. So I want those barbs going out, because you're going to just have a flat spear, basically, if you don't have the barbs sticking out. Alright, wing, behave yourself. And now we've got the 2 spikes for the middle. I'm just going to make, for the back, I'm just going to make, let's just roll it up into a ball and then go to a club shape, a cone shape. And you're going to have to be very gentle. If you've got small fingers, it's probably a much more easier job for you. So I'm going to go begin at the tail and try not to knock the tail off. Again, I should have probably put the tail on last. Pressing the sides, not the top. I want it shorter. I want it to be in a cone shape. Maybe even a little flatter on the sides. Got one in there. Let's see if I can do the other without messing things up. Again, you may want to put these on first. I have kind of winging it as far as the spines are concerned. And I guess you call these things spines, right? When I was a kid, dragons always had them. Cartoon dragons or whatever. They always seem to have those spines. Make it pointy. Oops, I bit the tail. It's going to be pointy as well. Now let's make the noggin. Cranium. Alright, so we've got let's try to make it as circular as possible. Now we're going to use the, and probably if you cup your hand, you're going to, so whenever you press into clay, you're going to get a flat side on the back and the front. You don't want that, but we want to press into the face to make the face. So let's do this. I'm going to try to cup that into my hand. And I'm going to press into the clay and roll around. And then I'm going to roll out. Rolling out softens the forehead that I just made. And the nose that I just made. And we want the nose to be pretty small. Whoops. But we don't want any pin markings from the shape of the pin in the... still got a little bit of a flat head there, so let's roll it out. I'm working on trying to make a very tiny muzzle, and I want it to be very low on the face. Babies' features are very low on the face. They've got a lot of forehead, they've got a lot of top to their head. So baby animals are kind of like that too. Rocking, a little bit of pressure on it. And I roll that back to the back of his head, kind of giving him a combing his hair back. And the reason why I do this is just to make that forehead soft, not so blunt. It's getting kind of lumpy, so let's soften it up here. You can rub to get your fingerprints out. And it's got kind of a flat base, so I'm gonna squeeze it softly, gently. So we want a very small muzzle and a very big head, and you want the muzzle maybe turned up, but low on the face. And just pull down the cheeks, push the nose up. Muzzle, I would guess, if you were to eye it, is about very small compared to the rest of the volume. Very small nose, very small muzzle. But everything else I want it to be kind of very smoothly as possible. Round as a ball, like a light bulb. It's kind of shaped like a light bulb, but the one end turned up to be the nose. Now we've got eyes. I have not cooked these eyes. You may want to cook the black clay early, so it'll be nice and hard. But I'm going to try to be gentle with it, so that I don't have to. So I can cook it whole at once, the whole figure at one time. The pencil. Again, let's maybe make a ball so I don't flatten his head too much. The line of the nose, I'm going to go underneath it, maybe just above it a little bit. That'll be the eyes. We're making a hole for the eyes so that we don't squish the shape of the eyes too much. And try to keep the eyes far apart as you can. That adds to cuteness. Not too far, but you know, far apart. Far, but the eyes far apart and low on the face. And you can see that the eyes are how big they are, so you may want to shrink the holes a little bit, but just soft, gentle pressure, keeping the sockets, the eye sockets, as round as possible. Let's go ahead and toss those eyes in there and press them gently. Press them gently so you don't deform the shape. And that one also. Keeping them kind of a good distance apart, about the nose width apart. I'm going to rock the bottom just to make it flatter, because I think it'll make it cuter. Keeping it round as possible. Maybe rock the bottom. There we go. Now, using this tool, let's make the mouth, and it's just going to be just below the eyes. And I want to do it kind of like a cat's mouth. So let's do this in 2 moves. Let's do, and try to make it small. Don't make it big. I'm going to press in like so. Press in like so. It gets really like a cat's mouth. Let's use the flat side of it and push that mouth in a little bit more. Not much. It's at an angle. So it's going in there. But you still got a chin. Don't push the chin away. Keep your chin in there. Baby dragon. All right. I'm gonna leave a good space, not much of a space between the nostrils, but try to keep them symmetrical. And it's just the tip of my knife being pressed in, opposite each other. Oops. Don't fiddle with it too much, or we're going to see the fiddling in your product. Get that mouth nice and open a little bit there. Still got a little bit of chin. Now we'll make the tongue. No. I think I'm going to distort the tongue. I will distort the tongue by putting the head on. So let's do the head and put the head on before we make the tongue. Anything else I need to do? No. Let's go ahead and do these those accents after we get the head on. I had said I want the longer toothpick to be the to support the head, and let's have it go in about half. I could probably mark that with my fingernail there. And I don't want to distort the body, so I'm going to be real careful doing this. I'm trying to hold the body gently and work that toothpick in there till about half of it is in there. There you go. We want the head to touch the neck top. And this toothpick will be support for it. When you cook these figures in the oven, when you bake them, better said, you will they will get really soft, and anything heavy will flip over. You've got that danger to possibly happen. So that's why I'm having the toothpick in there. Now we put half of the sharp point in the body. Let's put the blunt point, half of the blunt point, right where we want the head to go. It's probably just a little to the back, almost in the center. Center this way, but more to the back, from the nose to the back. So let's gently, without distorting the head, press that in there halfway. Maybe spinning it would help doing that job. Help and not distorting it so much. If it looks like one side's bigger than the other, push it in gently. And the eyes are bugging me because this one has corners and the other one doesn't. So let's put I might end up hating myself for doing this. Let's go ahead and accent that corner and give that corner one as well. Now, if you did not have a corner to match, you did not have to do that. Probably looks better to have them as round as possible. I'm trying to make both eyes match each other. Okay, we got the chin a little bit. The chin is where we're going to put the mouth. And I just simply put the head on where it touches. It's just going to make contact, because when it bakes, it'll bake together. Now that we got the head on, and we're in a danger of distorting the whole thing now, I'm just going to press a little bit of scales in here using this round tool. And you know how fish scales work. They go one in the middle, two on the sides, one in the middle, two on the sides of that. And you get some dragon scales. Alright, let's don't do too much more than that. I'm now going to do the last accents, which is a couple of them. Let's go ahead and do the tongue. I think it'd be cute if the tongue was not that big. So let's cut that down to about that much. Was that a 1/16 of an inch long tongue? I think that too may be too big. Let me go ahead and make it narrower. And while it's stuck to the mat, let's go ahead and give it a crease. Probably better look at that from above. Here we go. And then we'll cut that off with a sawing shape. Grab a hold of that thing. I've seen people just touch it like so. And we want to shove that up into the mouth. There you go. Push it in there a little further. Don't flatten it out too much. I don't want a flat tongue per se, because I think it looks good to have a bit of volume look to it. And there's his tongue. Bend it down a little bit there. So there's the baby dragon minus his spines, which is going to be the next and last step. Let's move him over there. Roll out the spines, and we'll just do 3 of them. And you don't want them to be the same necessarily, but rather tapering down like we did the belly scales. We want a big one in the center of it all. Maybe a little flattened, but not totally. See how that is? It's kind of roundish. It hints at being flat. And gently, while holding the body and not distorting anything, stick that on right there. kind of in the back top of the head, the back top of the noggin. Get that, I like that straight, not too bent. That might be a little cute to have it bent for a baby. I'm not putting too many horns or anything on there because I think babies don't, generally, most species of reptile and things don't have horns until they get a little older. See, that was a little smaller than the one in the middle. This one should do the same. Make it all rounded. Maybe a little flat on the bottom, but roundishly so. And maybe flat side to side, but not completely so. And let's put that right here in the middle of the scales. Move that one over a bit. All right, there you go. Whoops, his tongue got folded back up. There we go. Baby dragon. I'm going to bake it, and that should be it. Because right now it's easy to mess up because it's so soft. Try to keep it standing up, head in the middle. I'm going to go bake it. All right.